Hello everybody, Tyrone TG3 here. Yes, I'm doing this off script by the way, so bear with me. I'm pretty much talking about the Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi trailer that we got. No, I didn't live under a rock. I am well aware that Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi last month, I want to say in March, got a trailer. The trailer obviously didn't give us much, but most of the selling came from its name alone. Yes, Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi, which I actually find kind of interesting because Goku is going Super Saiyan Blue in the trailer, and obviously it would then be called, wouldn't it be called Dragon Ball Super at that point? But obviously they know the name Z sells. They've done this before. That's why the first two movies that technically exist in the Super era were Battle of Gods and Resurrection F. They still have the Dragon Ball Z name to it. And of course, this was before Dragon Ball Super came out. But they called it Z because they know Z sells. They easily could have called it Dragon Ball and then done that. But I'm rambling. My point being is that yes, I did see the trailer, and I'm sure a lot of people are going, Tyrone, what are your thoughts about it? I mean, I have thoughts, but I don't really have thoughts about the trailer because the trailer didn't give us anything to think about. Goku goes Super Saiyan Blue, and I think he's on planet Namek, and that's about it. That's literally all we get. Now, let's talk about that title for a second, though. Budokai Tenkaichi. Ah, yes. The pinnacle of PlayStation 2's nostalgia. People love Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3, more specifically, me included. I honestly like Tenkaichi 2's soundtrack more, but Tenkaichi 3 is a well-acclaimed game for a reason. Tenkaichi 3 has fast-paced action play, Dragon Ball Z-like gameplay. You get to fly around, you get to go around the map, you have tons upon tons upon tons of characters, and that is the big appeal. Tenkaichi was the one Dragon Ball Z game that allowed you to play as a plethora of characters. I believe there was about 130 to 160 characters. I want to say counting and not counting transformation, the number may change, but it was a large roster. I mean, for Christ's sake, you can play as Rayleigh, you can play as Emperor Pilaf, you can play as Emperor Pilaf with Shu and Mai, you can play as Bobbity, for Christ's sakes. Ugh. Yeah, but that was the point. The point was that literally anybody could be involved in Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi. The only exception they had at this point was the ability to make your own character, which wound up becoming a thing later in Ultimate Tenkaichi. Sadly, that game isn't that great. I would personally play Xenoverse 1 or Xenoverse 2 a lot better. But does that mean that I'm super hyped about this? Well, the answer is yes and no. So the thing about it is, I love Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi. And if you've seen my channel, you know I love a lot of Dragon Ball Z games. I mean, if you go on my Twitch channel, then you'll be able to see that I am currently streaming the Budokai games at marathons this whole month as a result of that. But I also have realized that if you take the nostalgia goggles off for a bit, Tenkaichi is not exactly the game I feel like should be revived. There was a game series that came out after Tenkaichi that I honestly think did a better job at being the open, I guess we can call it the open zone fighting game, or I don't know what Tenkaichi was pretty much labeled as, but Raging Blast 1 and 2 did a better job than Tenkaichi 3, to me personally, when it comes to a lot of things. And I can go into the mechanics of them. The first thing they did right was canceling for combos. There is, in the game, if you do a combo on your opponent in Raging Blast, there would be a yellow line that flashes really quickly, followed by like a twing noise that would allow the character to cancel the combo so that you can add a different combo to it. It's pretty much a follow-up. And in addition, characters also had signature attacks. Whereas in Budokai Tenkaichi, you had the light attack and the heavy attack. The circle button served as your energy blast, while the X serves as like your movement button, right? So, or your guard, I think it was your guard / movement button. If you're in place, it was guard. If you were moving around, it allows you to dash and stuff like that. Whereas in Raging Blast 1 and 2, the circle button slash B button, I guess if you're playing the Xbox, was your signature attack. Now, the signature attack wasn't like your super moves. It was just a little thing that each character can do individually that would allow you to differentiate who is who, and it would chain into your combos. So for example, Vegeta, Vegeta's signature move was the one he used on Zarbon's stomach, the one where he does the underhanded thing and blast from under to hit Zarbon and blast through his guts. That is Vegeta's signature move. So if Vegeta does a combo and the yellow flash shows up, you can cancel and go into the signature move immediately as a follow-up to that combo, which made for more creative uses of combos. One of the biggest problems with Budokai Tenkaichi 3 is that every character plays the exact same. If you pick it up, the joke is that Goku is in the game not just multiple times because of early, mid, and end Goku, but there's 130 Gokus in the game because they all play the exact same with no real differences whatsoever. Yeah, you may get a couple of characters that have some different charge moves here and there, or they activate their air combos a little differently. I know, for example, a lot of the hero fighters would activate their air combos by simply pressing down triangle, up triangle, then follow up with triangle, then follow up with X, and then follow up with square. Whereas in villains, they would do their air combos a different way. They would do down triangle and then hit the opponent forward, up triangle, then follow up with the air combo. So different air combos for different characters. But that was about it in terms of differences. There weren't that many differences when it comes to what a character can do and pretty much the entire roster. It was mostly a quantity, not quality version. Especially considering the fact that, yes, they had giant characters. While that is nice, it essentially meant that if you had a giant character fight off against someone like Yajirobe, Goten, or Videl, you basically lost because there's nothing that character can physically do to the giant character. Of course, that would beg the question, why are you using the regular character in the first place? Well, the game allows you to use any and every character, so there's nothing stopping you from using those characters. And especially considering the fact that some of these characters can transform into giant characters. What could possibly be Kid Gohan, Raditz, Bardock, and Nappa at fighting in a stage at night can easily turn into them looking at the full moon and transforming into large, giant aped versions of themselves. Thus, putting the player at a disadvantage if they're playing any of those characters like Hercule, Videl, or any of the other human characters that I stated earlier. So, it wasn't the great when it came to balance. Now, obviously, you're not playing Dragon Ball Tenkaichi games for the balance. You're playing it for the fun, over-the-top roster and the ability to just BS around. However, I do hope that they take some elements of Raging Blast and put those into Tenkaichi in order to save it. For example, you have the ability to deflect Energy Blast and Raging Blast 1. So in Tenkaichi 3, if an Energy Blast comes, you can either block it or teleport. Those were your only options. In Raging Blast 1 and 2, you have the ability to teleport it, block it, or deflect it, or struggle against it if you use an equal energy blast of power. Which, to be fair, you can do in Tenkaichi as well. But to have more options means that you can literally deflect the blast away if you time your button presses just right. And that's great. It makes it feel more like something Dragon Ball Z would have. Covering this other option that you had the ability to do was the teleporting sky battles. Those were essentially where like you take two characters and they would like hit each other and then teleport real fast and end up on the other side of the screen, teleport and hit each other real fast, and they would end up in different areas. Raging Blast was the game to have that option. So that was a really good addition to it as well, in addition to the already, if you and your opponents dash towards each other, then you'll do like a flurry of punches and kicks brawl. So it made it feel more like Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, just a lot of just things like that. Oh, the wall crashes were in Raging Blast 1 and 2. Those were essentially where if you hit an opponent with a certain move, then you can knock them to the wall if positioned right, and the opponent would be stuck to the wall. Like they would be unable to move, and that would give you the ability to do some combos onto them while they're on the wall, which I thought was a really nice touch. The sound effects in Raging Blast 2 were more accurate. For example, if Cell uses the Life Drain move in Tenkaichi 3, he will stick his tail in you, and then it'll start sounding like this weird, like, noise. It sounded weird. But when he sticks his tail into you in Raging Blast 1 and uses the Life Drain move, it actually does like the noise, like the actual sucking the life out of your body noise that Cell did in the TV shows. Like, there's just a lot of things that did that job better. And facial expressions. And obviously we know this is a generation difference between Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 versus a PlayStation 2 game. And now we're working with PlayStation 5, 4, and Xbox One and Xbox Series S. Or is Xbox Series S still? Anyway, so we know there's going to be huge graphical differences here. But from back then, they were so obvious. For example, when Gohan does his ultimate move, Gohan would do the thing where right before he hits you, he would like pose and then smirk real fast and then fly towards you. It's that facial expression that definitely added to it. But if we're moving off technical difficulties aside, even the customization to me was better. In Raging Blast 1 and 2, the customization in that game allowed you to pretty much choose whatever super moves you want. And that's something I really hope this new Tenkaichi game will let you do. This reduces the need of all those damn Gokus, by the way. The reason being is because back then, the reason there were so many Gokus was because there were so many different attacks Goku knew. The Kaioken, the Kaioken attack, the Kaioken strike, meteor combination, Kamehameha, Super Kamehameha, Super Kaioken times 20 Kamehameha, Angry Kamehameha, Meteor Crash, Meteor Dash, Super Dragon Fist, Spirit Bomb, Super Spirit Bomb, Lend Me Your Energy. Like, all these moves only exist because there were so many, all these Gokus exist because there were so many moves. Raging Blast 1 and 2 diffused all of that by having the customization allow you to choose different moves you want for Goku. That way, you can have Goku using Meteor Combination from when he fought Piccolo Jr., and you can have that on the same roster as the move Kaioken times 20 from when he fought Frieza. Or you can have that mixed with, you can have Super Kamehameha, a move he doesn't use until much later, be combined with, I don't know, Super Energy Volley. I don't know why you would do that, but you can do it. The point is that you could do it. Tenkaichi 3, unfortunately, your character only knows 3 moves. 2 supers, 1 ultimate. Whereas in Raging Blast 1 and 2, your characters can learn any of the moves that they have in their roster, but they can still only use 2 during the fight, but at least you get to choose which 2 those are. And for Goku, as well as a couple of other characters, you can choose what ultimate they get. That way they get more than 1 ultimate attack. This gives you options. And honestly, that's what we need more of in this new Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi game. I really hope the name was only used in order to draw people in and nothing more, because it feels like that's the case anyway. The name itself is going to be the main seller of this game, and I'm worried that they're not going to give the game itself the content and meat that it deserves. I feel like they're literally just using the name. And that's my biggest fear about this, is that they're using the name as nothing more than like kids from the early 2000s remember Budokai Tenkaichi 3. It was their childhood. And I'm just like, childhood's great, but I still want a good game because I like Dragon Ball. I love the series, and I want to play a game that devotes itself to the good series. Now, obviously, the online is definitely going to be a thing to look into. This also means we get a competitive set for Dragon Ball Z Budokai, which is definitely going to be a lot different. I think the only time we had online was in Budokai Tenkaichi 3 on the Wii. That was the only time I believe that we had online. So it's definitely going to be interesting to have online again, only this time it will be on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 or Xbox. So that's definitely going to be interesting. I don't expect Tenkaichi to be the type of game that winds up on like Evo or anything. But heavens no, please. We'll just, they already, Dragon Ball already has its Evo worthy game, and that's Dragon Ball Fighters. And I think that's a good head-to-head arcade style Arc Systems fighting game that works definitely well on its own, and I highly recommend that. I think for this type of game, for Tenkaichi, for Budokai Tenkaichi at least, it needs to be on the level of still being a little bit balanced so that every player can play it and have fun playing it, but also have like those crazy, wacky modes and like enjoyable, busted, overpowered things that make the game, well, Dragon Ball Z. And I definitely feel like a lot of love needs to be put into this, and I'm worried that they're gonna just take one element of it, which was the large roster, because that's what I mostly hear everybody say when they talk about Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi, especially nowadays, now that we got this new news. Most people just talk about, oh, the roster was so big, the roster was just such a huge roster, the roster, and I'm like, having a lot of characters is great, but if you're barely using any of them and the game plays pretty much like a copy and paste with each character with very limited options, I'm sorry. We've outgrown that already. At least I have personally. But what are your thoughts? I'm definitely going to be talking a lot more about the Budokai Tenkaichi stuff as time passes, so this isn't the only video I am going to make. And then who knows, I might even make like a whole characters hopes roster like I did for Dragon Ball Fighters, because that actually went by pretty well the last time I made a rosters video. So, with that being said, what are some things that you're hoping for Tenkaichi 4? It's not even the title that we got. It's just called Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi right now. I don't think we've gotten a confirmed title. Part of me kind of hopes they call it something else, like Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi, the ultimate bout or something, or I don't know, something. Don't call it 4. I feel like 4, putting the 4th number behind something always weirds it out. But anyway, what are your thoughts? I'll definitely be making a lot more videos covering this topic during the month, especially considering that I'm going to be streaming all the Dragon Ball Z Budokai games and Budokai Tenkaichi games. So make sure you guys look forward to that. I will see you all then, everybody. Tyrone TG3 out. If you want to know where most of my time is spent, head on over to my Twitch channel to watch me stream games on Tuesdays through Thursdays, as well as Saturdays and Sundays. Also, be on the lookout on the PokePod, a podcast stream on my friend KG Prestige's channel, as we discuss the latest Pokemon anime episodes, as well as anime, manga, video games, and other fun topics. That's it. Go do those other things. This video's over.